All right, welcome in Bully the Board week 6. It was a very interesting week. We had some new things we introduced to the people in the live lines. We had an interesting week, I guess, overall. So I guess let's jump right in. But before that, Kevin, how you feeling? How's it going through 5 weeks?
Through 5 weeks, in a vacuum, it's like 5 weeks it's like in dog years. So it's
Yeah.
felt like it's been 35 weeks almost of the season, But like somewhat from this perspective and, doing this whole bit, but also like on a fandom side of it as a Cardinals fan too, it's like, it's rough again. And Steve, you probably feel the same way about it, but I don't even care. You know what? I sign up for this shit every year. Through 5 weeks,
Yeah.
I'm ready to rock and roll still.
Lot of season left. Steve, how about you? How are you feeling?
Well, first of all, that's bullshit. As a Bears fan, there is no season left. Like this is over with. We're already packing up for next year. I bought my 2024 Bears shirt already last night. So, but as far as the season motto goes, man, roller coaster of emotions. Clearly 13 and 21 is not where we want to be, but we'll talk about a little bit, the sheer chaos of these first few weeks, have really kind of bounced back. Yesterday was nice to get, a 3-3 week, but at a -110, that's still technically a negative week. So, we're marching towards something, but definitely a lot of positive insight from the live lines, which I know we'll talk about in a little bit, but overall we're getting there. I think after a little bit, hopefully after this week, we have enough chaos in games under the belt where we can start getting on the right side of some of these. But like I said, overall, feeling pretty good.
Yeah, and you make some interesting points. So I guess we can hop in for a little bit of a recap. So, Dolphins, we were traveling, Steve. So, Kevin, did you actually get to watch this game?
I caught bits and pieces of it. Yeah,
okay.
I didn't get to see from soup to nuts, but I just happened to catch the red zone part where they flashed to Teddy getting injured, like on the second drive or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, all right, gonna be
first
another one of those days.
First offensive play for Miami, concussion / elbow injury. Basically DOA. This thing couldn't have gotten worse. So that was interesting. Steve, you alluded to the chaos. And not only the chaos, but it just seems very interesting. We have been on the wrong side of almost every chaotic thing that has happened this season. This one is just, the prime example, right? Teddy Bridgewater, we have high hopes, and the dude literally his first play out, he's out. Yeah. So that's an interesting one.
There's to me, there's different tiers of the chaos though, because you at some point you expect, or not expect, but you understand when injuries happen to guys.
Sure.
Whether it's on your side or not, that shit's going to happen. But the chaos, and in terms of like the inflows of the games, how they progress, the bad beats, that type of stuff, that's a whole different set of emotions, and type of chaos. So we've gotten a taste of both, unfortunately.
I will say I did see something about how really the Dolphins should invest in putting the helmet back on their logo, because now he lost to and Teddy the concussions. Like they got to do something different.
Bring it back
for the brand. Yeah, that's interesting. So last week was pretty ugly. Thursday night Broncos, that thing. Oh man, I don't even want to relive that, but that was an ugly game. We had every chance to win that.
Can you talk about the new math here? Because I know we talked about this. With some of these decisions that we see out here in some of these games and whatnot, and decisions to go forward and not go forward.
Going for 2. Yeah, going for 2 down 14.
So
is that what you mean, Steve?
Yeah, well, because that was the one where if they was it 2 down 14? It was the one with the PAT, or was I'm thinking of another game?
So this was like every game. The Chiefs, I think.
I know,
Chiefs. Right? The Chiefs and the Raiders. The Raiders went.
Oh, maybe that's the game. I'm sorry. Maybe that's the game I'm thinking of. Yeah, it was they went for it. Instead of going up 6, instead of kicking the field goal to go up 6, the Broncos went for it, and it had an interception. And then
that's okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know if I can break that one down. That one's just wildness, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're just seeing a lot of teams struggle. Offensively, defensively. I mean, if you're into the EPA stuff, a lot of these teams have negative EPAs, which are expected points added. From the times I've started to anecdotally look at EPAs, you usually see them very slimly positive. But almost by and large, all these teams are negative EPAs, meaning historically teams have been more efficient than they're actually being than they are this year.
I gotta,
yeah.
I was just thinking, I gotta wonder, like, how much is that? Is because we're seeing a lot of questionable decision making, from these coaches. Again, with the Broncos, the first time it's fourth down against the Seahawks. Like, give Russ the ball and win the game. They kick a 60-yarder and miss it. And then you see this time, instead of just kicking the chip shot field goal, like, no, we're going to give it to Russ and, for better, for worse. And, now they're 0 for 2 in those kind of decision making. So I wonder if we're seeing some of these wild decisions across the league. Is that even related, or is this kind of a coincidence with some of these negative EPAs that we're seeing?
Could be, yeah.
I heard this is not sure if this is related or not, but I heard a somewhat interesting take because someone was talking about some of these decisions. Excuse me, some of these decisions. That I got a cough. Someone say something.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so the EPAs are basically play by play, so it's an aggregate thing. It's to your point, Steve, it has to do with those plays, but on aggregate of every play, these teams are less efficient. So even when they're on the 20-yard line, their opponent's 20-yard line, or their own 20-yard line, and they're it's third down, they're struggling by and large. So it's just an interesting thing. And then the unders are red hot. I think there's something like 65%. So again, that's another basically correlated there that these teams, the league is struggling to score. So I don't know. I don't know if the defensive coach has just finally figured shit out, or I'm not sure. But do you want to finish that thought, Kevin?
Yeah, sure. So maybe the defenses have started to figure something out collectively, but considering how the rule changes are just more and more in favor of protecting the quarterbacks, more and more in favor of the offense, aka putting up points, that type of stuff. Defensive coaches get smarter, but so does the other side of the ball. Eventually, it's got to be a pendulum swing in the grand scheme of things. I don't know, but the take that I was referencing or going to reference is that I don't know to the extent that you can quantify this or measure it, but I think there might be a good argument had to say that more and more coaches, more and more teams are trying to incorporate analytics and have been over the past few years into their in-game decision making. And this guy was saying the problem with that, as compared to other sports like baseball, basketball, etc., where there's so many games, with football you have
high variance.
With high variance. So if you fuck up on one of those analytical based decisions,
you might not get another chance.
You are way behind the 8 ball. So if some of those decisions are analytically driven, then that's like the whole traditionalist crowd just getting ready for their pickets to come out and be like, see, you can't use data to play football, you can't use a model to predict this, you can't use a model to predict I think that's so I heard that and I was like, I don't know to the extent that you can confirm this or quantify it or whatever, but it makes some sense.
Yeah, I want to see what these stats are though, because you hear all these commentators like, oh well, the stats say or the analytics say. It's like, show me. You don't even know what that means. Show me. Because to your point, I thought a lot of unders. I think this got triggered last year when we saw a lot of teams play 2 high safety over the Chiefs to not get beat by Tyreek Hill. And so what you do is you give up some of the smaller plays, but you really limit that over the top explosive stuff. And I'm wondering if we're seeing a lot of that because it's a copycat league, right? The NFL is a copycat league. And so I'm wondering if you're onto something. But yeah, it's wild, man. Wild time to be alive for sure.
Yeah. It's been a wild season. And I guess just to wrap up the recap, we've talked about it before on this channel early on. The way that we quantify our uncertainty using confidence intervals and prediction intervals. We added some live lines, and these were lines that basically the model said if we can get them at these numbers, they would be statistical edges. But obviously, they weren't close enough for us to buy, or if we were going to buy, we'd have to pay way too much juice. So rather, we know the number we need. We waited for the situation in the game to get us there. at a consensus minus 110. So we were able to take all 4 of them actually, and quite frankly, we had a shot to win all 4. Kansas City basically, you know, if you watch that game in line of the conversation, Raiders go for 2. I think even if they get that, there's a chance that they score a touchdown there and we cover. They didn't get it, so they were winning by 1. Kansas City wasn't incentivized to score. The rest is history. But this is something to keep out. We won't be doing this every week because there's not necessarily always edges that are going to be these close. These 4 games just happen to be give or take 4 points away from what the consensus was at kickoff. And so we knew more than likely we'd have a chance to grab these in game. And so we for all the haters, we called the shot. I mean, this is posted. You can see the timestamps. I mean, I was getting a lot of feedback saying this doesn't count because they don't want it to count, basically, right? They don't have any real logic. And I think it comes back to, you know, the people that are wanting to learn and understand what we're doing, because I think that's the biggest takeaway that I can seem to point out. People are applying what they understand and what other people do is betting, but because we quantify our uncertainty and we use that to rule in and out bets, it gives us some opportunity to do some things a little bit unique to, you know, versus other people that are just looking at spreads and picking a side. We're really trying to quantify where we think the game is going to end up. And because of that, then we pick, hey, we think it's going to end up here and the spread's way outside of that. And that's how we pick our game. So, you know, we were able to get some of those.
So there was 4 this week. I think there might have been 2 or 3. Off the top of my head, I forget so far from the other weeks.
Two for another
2 other
week.
ones.
Yeah.
Okay, I know one was week 1, and I forget the other one.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles, Jacksonville. We got minus 2.5 for Philly.
Yeah, and you know, in a vacuum, you might, you know, look at the model record and say, well, yeah, okay, more picks doesn't mean jack shit, you know.
But it does.
When you are, I know exactly. So when you are modeling stuff like this, you do want more data points. The bigger the better type of thing. So it was good that we could get 4 more picks in life situations. So hopefully we get more as the weeks go on.
Yeah, and you know, like I said, we won't do this every week, but when it does happen, we will call the shot and we will say it beforehand. So you can't say it, you know, we didn't know. And you can verify all the stuff on bullytheboard.com. By the way, guys, you can see all the model output completely free, no paywall, no email wall, no nothing. It's there for you to use. So anything wrapping up here, these recaps, anything else you guys want to talk about on these, or you want to move to futures? Good. All right. Yeah. So week 5, although we 50-50, and, you know, I will say one thing important, you know, 50-50 for all the people saying they fade the model. That means you lost 2 last week. Okay. At 50-50, that means you lost money too. Okay. So I didn't hear anybody touting that, but I wanted to make sure that was clear. So we did actually have a pretty good week from the futures. And we had a, you know, pretty strong, I think we went basically 4-1, right? With Indy pulling out a win there somehow.
Yeah, right.
You know, Kevin, I was wanting to get your thoughts here.
Yeah, so I continue to be. We said at the start, there's a lot of season left. You know, but there is some things where you just, you know, you can sleep soundly at night. No one things are going your way. Carolina and Indy, even still with that eking out that win, they just, I think things are rosy for us in those 2 departments. The last 3, going to be an interesting remainder part of the season for me to watch personally. I think those ones are going to come down to the probably last 1 or 2 weeks of the season, probably. The Bengals, I don't know if last season is any indication, they might be able to figure some stuff out late in season, but beyond that, overall, like you said, 4-1. So it was, you know, we'll take it. We didn't win anything. You know, there was no money in our pocket because we went 4-1 per se. But we're obviously keeping tabs because for those who may not know or maybe just tuned in for the first time this week, there was also a model used for using these picks for having these picks. This wasn't just our preseason Kevin Stevens set prediction type of thing.
Yeah, we were able to model these and have them point these out. How about you, Steve? How are you feeling through week 5 on these?
Yeah, no, feeling really love all three of the unders. Folks who've been watching, I've been under Bengals, from the jump. So, it's good to see some positive reinforcement. Colts got an ugly win, but I under 10's looking pretty solid from where I sit at least. And then the overs for New Orleans, I think they got a chance still. They're putting some pieces together. I think they're gonna kind of bounce back from that Jameis injury, and then who knows, man? Listen, Bailey Zappi may be the truth. It may be his time to shine.
It might
be. I never really count the Patriots out. So that one's the hook makes me a little more concerned for sure. But I'm loving the unders.
Yeah, I saw Andrew Schultz, who was the creator of DVOA and a lot of what we use and to run our analytics. And he had
interesting. Schultz, isn't it Schatz?
Oh, Schatz. Maybe. Sorry.
Andrew Schultz is the I was gonna say.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, he has good shade. Shout out Andrew Schultz. He has good shit.
We would love to have either on the podcast, so just let us know. But sorry, yes. What's his last name? Andrew Schatz? Schatz. Okay. So anyways, they were doing some analysis breakdown, and I thought an interesting thing, they obviously have some deeper access than we do to the raw data. But they removed the shutout game when they played Houston for the Colts. And Colts are the 32nd offensive DVOA team. If you remove that offer, right, the shutout, they go from 32nd to 31st. So point being, this team is really, really, really bad from an offensive standpoint. I was checking earlier today. Pretty much all the unders and the over except Carolina are all at 7.5. So we got great value on Colts and Bengals. And then we're basically right at 8 for the the over under basically is 8 for New Orleans, and then that hook may get us for New England, and then it couldn't go better. If you're betting the under on Carolina, they fired their coach, right? I mean, that's got to be a good sign that things are going in your direction. So overall, that was a positive week, and our first double dip week, as you'll notice. We were able to bet on the Bengals to cover, but also they lost. So it was a twofer that we were definitely due for.
With a last second field goal too.
Yeah, with the last second field goal. Wasn't a better feeling than that. We definitely, I should have stoked that feeling up a little bit more. But so I guess talking about Carolina, we can hop right in to week 6 picks. So we're recording this a little bit later this week on Friday. So we've already experienced the great Thursday Night Football. Steve, you're a Chicago fan. I mean, walk me through this thing.
First and foremost, welcome to the shit show. Like that is, the pain you felt is a fraction of what I felt my entire life. That's all we know how to do is lose. No, man, listen, it was. We knew if you look at our we said it's gonna be an ugly grab your lunch pail, go to work kind of game. Like this was gonna be a shit show, and there was no surprises there. Chicago, listen, they got to feel some of the fields, man. I don't want to go on a tangent here, but they're Cooper Kupp I think has as many catches himself as the entire Bears receiving core. Like that, like something is wrong there. Then we got 4 quarterbacks who's thrown for more yards than the entire Bears receiving core has caught combined. Wow. So I don't know what they're doing protecting fields, but they got to change something. Ironically, though, I will say, because we're all about transparency here. When we look at the DVOA rankings, we're making these videos. So one of the things that did stick out was that Chicago was, I think, a 6th rank or definitely 4th. Way higher ranked 4th. There you go, ranked special teams. Compared to Washington, who was towards the bottom of the league. And we even said, like, let's look for a special teams play. It could be the difference. And sure enough, it was just against Chicago with Davis Jones Jr. muffing that punt. So that was again, another bad beat, right? That's a heartbreaker. Had a chance to come back and get it at the end. Fields throwing to Darnell Mooney in the end zone, and he caught it in the end zone, then bobbled it and caught it back outside the end zone. So that's been the kind of season it's been so far for us, unfortunately.
Yeah, that was.
Hey, rough. Is Eberflus in his first season or second?
Yeah, first.
Doesn't matter. He needs to be gone. Yeah.
Wow.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, it's first. He was the defensive coordinator at the Colts, so maybe explaining why they're struggling on defense, and I mean, you're not wrong there. Yeah, I mean that one was hard. I mean,
it's hard to watch.
It was interesting because the Bears dominated. They dominated that game. Yeah. It came down to that's one special teams play. They scored. I mean, the Bears were in the red zone 3 times without any points.
No. Hold on. They weren't in the red zone 3 times. They were within the 5-yard line 3 times.
Yeah.
Like, so let's call out ineptitude when we see it, right?
Even worse. Yeah. I was honestly on 4th down. I was like, just run it. Like, you can do one thing. Just like you can only turn it over. Like, just fucking try. But yeah, more on the wrong side of that. But so it was interesting, dealing with the haters today, telling me that they had Washington. They knew it all along. I was like, damn, man, you must have had your heart must have been beating the whole night, because it didn't look like that from, basically came to one play, and even the last play of the game you could have lost. So, but that's how it's been going. You bounce back and you do what you can. And more importantly, we can still be profitable this week. So let's hop in to the other 4 games. I guess we can start. Let's not start with the Cowboys. I think that's the primetime game. We can leave that for last. How about Panthers? LA. This one is at 10.5 where we got it. It's moved down to 10. This one is super interesting. You got Matt Rule fired, and you have Baker out, and you have a struggling LA. This one, I think you said it best, Steve. Just chaos. I guess you would maybe think in that chaos, why not take the Rams? But the model is really, really liking Panthers and PJ Walker in this start. So, Kevin, any initial thoughts here, feelings jumping out at you, or anything, any insight?
Yeah, quick question, because I don't remember off the top of my head. Was this a 1-year or 4-year play?
This is both. It's a both.
Oh, was it one of those?
Yeah, it's a 1 and a 4, which is whew.
Yeah. So we see this from time to time, and it's obviously no guarantee that it's going to happen here. But when a coach gets fired, you sometimes see teams rally around the interim guy. And in this case, the interim guy is Steve Wilks, who for one fateful season was the Cardinals head coach. It was a very, very poor, dismal season, especially offensively. They were pretty good defensively, but offensively was god awful. And he's bounced around the league a little bit, So I know he has that reputation for being a player's coach and things like that. But if there ever was a time that they could rally around a guy for a game, for half a season, even, I think he's well suited for that type of role. Like, hey man, we ain't got no one believes in us. We're at the bottom of the barrel. Let's just go out and ball, man. So. When I saw this on the card, I was little what do you want to say?
Concerned?
I wasn't jazzed up about it.
Yeah,
put it that way. But yeah, the more I thought about it, and I was looking into some of the numbers a little bit too. The Rams are not for being the defending champs. They're not
23rd DVOA team. 23rd.
Yeah, they are not playing great. So I could very well see this. Now, do I expect the Panthers to win? No, that's not what we're saying here. That would be an absolute shocker. But do I think that they could cover 10 or 10.5? I think that's well within reason.
Yeah. How about you, Steve?
Yeah, I actually feel pretty good about this game, and it's counterintuitive, right? And again, I'm with you, Kev. I am not saying the Panthers are going to outright win. But the Rams are not good. Listen, the team we saw a year ago, call it what you want, Super Bowl hangover, maybe OBJ missing and, Vaughn being gone was a bigger impact than we thought. But this is not the same LA team that went to Super Bowl, and they're not going back. Now we have the Panthers. Yeah, they're ass. Like, let's call a spade, right? That's why Matt Rule got fired. But, I think in these games of chaos, like you're getting something that's introduced new, right? PJ Walker's played some games. He started some games. There is some game film on him, but he's relative unknown. And we see this time and time again with teams trying to game prep. We know what LA is. We know what that is. Carolina has a chance for something better. They have a chance to rally around a new coach. They have a chance for a quarterback trying to improve himself in the league. I can easily see this being a 3, 4, 5 point game. I would not be surprised. So,
hey, for what it's worth, PJ Tucker is 2-0 as a starter. Like interesting.
I think that the basketball player, PJ Walker.
What?
PJ Walker. PJ Tucker. He plays for the Heat now, right?
No, he's in Philly, baby.
Oh no, he's in Philly. He's in Philly. That's right. He's in Philly.
No, it is PJ Walker.
Yeah.
Did I say? Okay, whatever.
You said Tucker.
PJ
All right,
Tucker.
we got Andrew. We got Andrew Schultz coming, and we got PJ Tucker coming up next on the podcast.
Hey, I live in Philly. Come on down.
Star studded cast. Let's go.
PJ Walker, 2-0 as a starter. So, and this is also one of those times where teams start pulling all the tricks out the bag. Because why the hell not? And some of that stuff can catch teams by surprise. So. Yeah, this will be an interesting one. I don't feel terrible about it, frankly.
And this guy's got a chance to play for some money. I mean, when else? Think about. I've never had this opportunity in my life. Have you ever had an opportunity for the week preparation to go out and ball out and probably make yourself a backup contract, $10 million? I mean, this guy's got a lot of incentive to try as hard and to get it to the playmakers. I think that's what he was saying.
Yeah.
We got to get it to our playmakers. I like it.
Right.
It's going to be interesting.
Sure.
I think the big key is the offensive line. And is there any continuity on defense? Because Carolina's defense has actually not been bad. And I believe the defensive coordinator was also fired. So that's, I don't know how that's going to work. But hopefully we let the boys play. Mm-hmm. And basically the offensive line of the Rams just stays sucking. Because I think that's right. That's the key to cover in this game. All right, heading on over to Packers. This is in Lambeau. 7.5 is where it opened. It's been hovering between 7.5 and 7. I think right now it's at 7.5. This one is super interesting. We got Green Bay coming off a loss in England, and the Jets are kind of red hot. To be honest, they look unstoppable. They killed some endangered dolphins, and man, I don't know. This one's interesting. Steve, what are you thinking here? How are you feeling? You're a Packer hater, I'm assuming, but
hate, yeah. Playing haters ball over here, but I got to give credit where credit is due. Listen, if there's one thing Aaron Rodgers doesn't do, it's lose consistently. I think you got to. You got a Packers team who had no love in London. They're going to come back to Lambeau at home. Not that Rodgers needs it, but you're going to have, again, a motivated Rodgers to not lose. He doesn't like having all that looser talk. We heard him all week about some of the comments after the game. Yeah, I think this is going to be a slaughter. I think what's going to happen, you're going to have the Jets coming in thinking they're hot shit. And give credit where credit's due. They beat up on Skylar Thompson. They beat up on him, but he's a third-string quarterback. Right, he's a third string rookie, I think. Yeah, exactly. So the defense did most of that work. I'm not taking anything away from Zach Wilson, but they did have 5 rushing touchdowns. He didn't throw for one last week, and so I think it's gonna be a hard fall back to reality for New York, and I think it's a get right game for Green Bay.
Mm-hmm. To your point, Steve, Rodgers and LaFleur. While not perfect, obviously, they have shown that they don't lose many games back to back, or really many games at all. 13-3 last 3 seasons, I believe. So it's if this game was in New York at -7, I would feel a little bit differently about this one. But yeah, Zach Wilson is still very much unproven, or underproven rather. That team as a whole. I do like the fact that when because who's real quick, I'm forgetting the name. He has Lazard, and who else is he throwing the ball to right now?
They got Randall Cobb back.
Yeah,
Runyon, and the rookie. I forget. Okay. There's 2 rookies, but I forget their name.
Yeah.
Something Walker maybe, or Watson maybe, I'm not sure, but that group has obviously taken a huge collective step back, and Rodgers is not putting up the same type of numbers. Sure. I think they're going to start to lean on their beastly duo, man, of Jones and Dillon a little more than maybe they have, because I know the Jets put up some points last week and even a couple weeks ago too, but in Lambeau against that crowd, I think Zach Wilson is going to be in for a rude awakening. He's
seeing ghosts.
I hope he's going to be what?
Seeing ghosts.
Seeing ghosts, yeah, something like that, man. He better find some mommy to be on standby after the call to take care of him, because it's not gonna be good.
Yeah. So ironically, though, the one thing that the Jets defense can do is run defense. So I don't know. I'm actually shaking in my boots in this game. I hate it. I don't even understand it at 7, and then 7.5 makes no sense. 65, I think, % of the money is on the Jets, and it moved from 7 to 7.5. This thing makes no sense to me. You got Packers coming back from London. They're tired as fuck. Aaron Rodgers' thumb's fucked up. They got shellacked by the Giants. The one thing that they can do this year is run the ball. Jets can have a good run defense. I don't know. That's where you chalk it up to the model. It can see things that I can't in a better way than I can, at least. But man, I like this much more in one possession. To cover 7, you got to win. You got to win by 2 possessions, right? You can push, but profit. You got to win by 2 possessions.
That's true. Yeah. But I mean, even the hook, even just at 7.5, yeah, I almost take a slightly different view of this game. I think I would,
but really, you shouldn't, because you're basically saying the same thing. You're basically saying they got to win by 2 possessions in order to cover the 7 or 7.5. Now you open up the push possibility there, but that's still not a win.
Hey.
But it's not a loss though. And these days, shit, Now I will say though, Seth, to your point, it technically it's not a 2-possession game. With this new math and this new coaching era, hell, they may go for 2 just for the hell of it.
Hey, I hope they do, man. I hope they fucking do. Yeah. I can't wait for the right side of variance to where like the craziest shit happens in the last like 5 weeks of the season, and every bounce just goes our way. It's gonna be a good time. All right. Any last thoughts there? I mean, we've gone back. I hate this one. This is one of the ones, chalk this one, where I feel so sad. I feel vulnerable. I feel
wow. Okay.
Yeah. Because it just makes there's so much going against the Packers, and I love Aaron Rodgers. I think he's elite. But this is not last year. This is not. They do not have the same offensive efficiency. And yeah, they can run the ball, but then you got a good team, good run defense. Who knows? I mean, the one thing you can count on Aaron Rodgers, I think to your point, Steve, hates losing. I mean, he literally said, like, I don't even want to talk about this shit. I don't even want to hear the word loss. I mean, that's some fucking OG GOAT shit. You can't even say the word loss. So maybe I should feel better about it. But okay.
RELAX.
Yeah.
Relax.
Oh yeah, these days that's hard. 49ers 4.5, 5.5. This has been moving 4.5, 5. I think currently as we're recording this, it's at 5 for 49ers -5. And this is in Atlanta, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is San Francisco. Oh, that's right. So interesting fact about this one. So they played Carolina last week. They stayed.
The Niners,
yeah, they stayed on the East Coast.
Oh, they did that
in a
whole
hotel.
thing. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And so they've been on the East Coast the whole time. Shout out East Coast, Best Coast, at least time zone. And they're out. They've been out here all week. Bosa was at practice, so that's interesting. I'm not sure if he'll play or not. And then I think one of their corners is injured. So this is an interesting one. Kevin, break this down. Atlanta's kind of red hot from a spread standpoint.
But you can't get more red hot than they are. They're undefeated against the spread this season, and I think the public betting, if you will, is trying to capitalize on that. I think like 75% of the money as of now is on the Falcons to cover. So I think that's largely driven by that little quirky stat for them. But Jimmy G, or maybe broad more specifically, Kyle Shanahan and them continue to impress me, at least, with their ability to just churn out very competitive teams, win ball games like when you don't think they should. That defense, second string, third string, doesn't matter. Like, dude, just ball out on that D over there. Yeah. Jimmy G is, I don't know. From like the when Trey Lance first got hurt, I was like, all right, interesting developments. And then like 5 seconds later, my thought was, they just became a better team with Jimmy G. I didn't think Trey Lance was going to be anything good. Maybe he will be something, but Jimmy knows how to operate with Shanahan and in that system, and to the extent that they cover 5.5, I think is a slightly different conversation. I would be shocked if they don't win the game, but yeah, something about how the Falcons are playing, man, and what Mariota and them are doing over there with not really a lot of guys, like name guys. It's just a bunch of dudes who are just balling. So they're holding it down on that front. So this is the one for me where I look at it and I say, all right, yeah, Falcons 5-0 against the spread. All right, calling bullshit. Shit's ending tonight, baby, or ending this week. I saw this on the card and I was like, yeah, lock it in. I feel confident about this one. Honestly, yeah. I do.
Yeah. What about you, Steve?
Yeah, agreed. I think this is one of the ones. This is one of the ones where it goes back to understanding. Vegas is not looking for an edge. Vegas is trying to find that middle ground, right? To go walk away with the juice, right? Where everyone goes home happy from the house standpoint. You got Atlanta, who is 5-0 against the spread, and that's making a lot of waves right now. But besides Tampa Bay, and arguably Tampa Bay has not really been that great, if we're being honest. Who has Atlanta really faced, right? They're covering. I think they're 2-3, right? They're covering games. They're not winning all their games, and they really haven't faced a ton of great opposition. And so I think this is a game where you have a team that is truly getting better in the 49ers versus a team that's, I think, riding higher than it's perceived higher than it actually is. And I think we get a reality check this week. And I feel pretty confident about this game and the spread. So,
yeah. And I was just trying to pull up the strength of schedule for them, but I won't be able to do it. I agree. I like this bet, but honestly, I honestly think that the spread should be flipped between the 49ers and the Packers. I would feel much better at Packers minus 5.5, and I would take this. I think San Francisco's defense is going to be the second back-to-back top defense that they face, but I think that potentially the offense can kind of keep it together, because basically Tampa Bay went up 21-0, right? And then Atlanta came back. But I don't know if San Francisco they're going to allow that, to be frank. So yeah, I like this one. Which I don't know if that's good, if we all like it, but
there was one play, there was a pick. I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago where we all we had consensus on it. I wish I knew off the top of my head what it was.
Oh yeah. I think we won it though, if I'm not mistaken, because we were all so afraid.
Yeah,
could be.
You're like, oh shit, it's gotta be bad news. We're the public, fade the public.
Yeah, no, for real. I mean, the public wins sometimes too, guys. Right? That's the reality.
Right.
All right. Well, then that leads us into the last game of the week, Sunday Night Football in Philadelphia. We got the Cowboys coming to town, and man, the model is riding with Cooper Rush. Speaking of undefeated from starts and spread, Cooper Rush, man, and the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas seems to be keeping the party alive defensively. That was a big question for us. And would that, could they keep that up? And the answer is yes. And Rush has stepped in. Now, obviously, in my opinion, Rush is not Dak. And, them losing Amari, I think, has had them regress just a little bit. But overall, they've played really good. But obviously, on the other side of that coin, from a DVOA standpoint, we're talking about, I think, the 6th in the Cowboys versus the 2nd in the Eagles. So this is a crazy matchup. This is going to be probably a crazy divisional game. Steve, what is this Cowboys now? And this is now moved to 6.5. So you can get Cowboys 6.5. That seems wild to me.
Yeah, I think it's another one where, again, public perception is high. And listen, understandably so. The Eagles are playing out of their mind. They're 5-0. And I think everyone is like, okay, the Eagles are legit this year. They may be Super Bowl or bust coming around, which we didn't think we'd say at the beginning of the year, although we thought they were going to be good. But yeah, I actually feel the same way about this game as I felt about the Bills-Ravens game last week, where it's like it's a coin flip game. It's going to be close either way. I can see this easily being a field goal game between, going either way, between the Cowboys or the Eagles. So I think for me, I definitely feel getting it at +5. Anything over 3.5 or anything over 3, I would feel comfortable with. But yeah, I think that defense for the Cowboys is underrated. Like, they are sneakily good. And I know they got embarrassed on national TV, against the Brady and the Bucks there, but it wasn't. It was more of the offensive woes than anything else. The defense is holding it together. And then you throw in Cooper Rush, who is Mr. Reliable, right? So I love this game. But I do also love this pick, where I think at +5, there's value to be had.
Well, it's at 6.5.
Yeah. No, yeah, but even better.
Yeah.
I might take it again.
I know. I was thinking the same thing. This just doesn't make sense, Kevin. Can you kind of discern, like, this doesn't make sense? 5.5 seems okay, kind of, but then it moving to 6.5 just seems like a lot.
Yeah, it does. I mean, and there hasn't been a ton. The public hasn't been heavy on one side or the other. It's relatively even, from a money distribution standpoint. But I've been trying to wrap my head around it a little bit. Haven't quite got to that point yet. But viscerally, I don't like this play, actually, at all. This one, for me, like, the Phillies had interesting games, and they've really come out hot out of the gate, started strong. Like, I think they lead the league in first quarter points and point differential, or I believe it is first quarter and first half, maybe even. And then they've really, really slowed down the second half for whatever reason, like not making good halftime adjustments and things like that. So if there can be maybe I'll call it a fluky thing where the Cowboys can keep pace or maybe even get ahead in the first half or in some reason, then I think the Eagles might struggle. That's one scenario. But on the flip, man, like, how the hell can Mr. Reliable, as you said, Cooper Rush, keep this up, man? I fucking pisses me off that the Cowboys are good still without Dak.
That's interesting. That's your take. So what was your analysis based off of the Arizona game last week?
Mm-hmm.
Because Arizona gave them a headache.
Yeah. They same exact playbook, man. The first quarter and a half was like, wow, they look really damn good. Arizona's just going to get run over, But then, second half woes kind of kicked in, and they, Arizona had a chance. So I was impressed, but I think they are not at a point yet where they can be consistent enough for 4 quarters to probably beat, the Bills and the Chiefs of the world, But with a Cooper Rush at the helm, and more tape on him for teams to maybe kind of strategize a little more around him, and I don't have a great feeling about this in my stomach.
Yeah, but I mean, how many times have we seen good or great defenses and a game managing quarterback go and do great things? I mean, that's the only reason we got our one Super Bowl for the Bears, right? I mean, we've seen this blueprint time and time again. Defense wins championships, right? And I, to be fair, to your point, Kev, yes, the Eagles look at the eye test, right? If you watch ESPN highlights, the Eagles look like the superior team. The Cowboys just kind of getting by. But when you look back at it, Eagles beat the Lions by 3 points. They were up big in that game. They let them come back, right? They beat the Vikings in primetime Kirk Cousins. So, okay. They beat the Commanders, who, shout out Carson Wentz, who we hate. And then, they beat the Jaguars. Yeah, Jaguars had that great win over, the Chargers, but who are they really? Determined to be seen. And then they eked out a win over the Arizona Cardinals. So this is a team who I think they're very exciting. I mean, I love Jalen Hurts. I want him to succeed. I love this team. I'm not really a fan of the Eagles, but I love what they got going on. But this is a very vulnerable team through and through. My take, at least.
So to your point, Steve, this is one of the interesting stats that I saw that I hadn't really been thinking about, and was one of the big drivers for why we took Philly to win the Super Bowl, which is worth double what we paid for it, by the way. So that's big value on our end. But the strength of schedule so far, 29th for Philadelphia, 10th for Dallas. So who these teams have played have not been the same.
Right.
And I was like, wow, I was kind of taken aback. Dallas has played Tampa Bay, New York, Cincinnati, and LA. and they handled their business in almost all of them, but the second overall defense at Tampa Bay. And that was a healthy Tampa Bay, by the way, with no injuries, which is so. I mean, I'm not saying, Kevin, this is a slam dunk, but I think the defense can. I think overall, as that analysis has Philly actually been tested? And remember, when they played Jacksonville, it was pouring rain, so there's even that. Well, isn't that the same matchup?
Yeah, have they? Yeah, I think they've been tested on one side of the ball at least.
Sure.
So I mean, they're deep. Like those two defenses. I mean, I would take the under if I just had to. If you maybe pick a side on the over under on this one.
Yeah, defensive craziness.
Right. Yeah, but with the, I mean, the Cowboys are still in the middle of the pack in terms of offensive ranking and everything with Cooper at the helm. And I just don't think they're going to have enough on that side of the ball to keep up and compete. I think Jalen Hurts is going to have more, what do you call it? Home run potential and the big playability, and they did. They got more guys. So this one gives me, like I said, gives me the shakes a little bit.
Yeah, I just find it so interesting. 6.5 just seems too many. I mean, so put it in perspective. If this moved to 7, is Cowboys Eagles the same matchup as Packers versus the Jets? Because that's the spread's was half a point away. That seems pretty gnarly logic. Yeah, I don't know. Which we know they're not logic. We know they're using power ratings, so we know the true math is not that these teams are that far away. So they're doing some fuck shit here. Now, to tell you what that is, I couldn't tell you. Are they wanting to bait people to take Cowboys? Maybe, or they must be, right? Because that'd be the only way that would make sense. So I don't know. Let's go Cowboys.
Yeah, this will be a good. I mean, just high level though, this will be a great nightcap game. I don't know how the schedule makers fuck this one up though, but then when you have Bills and the Chiefs rematch of last year's divisional game, like how do you not make that the prime time? Like, come on.
Yeah. This is going to be a good game, though. This is going to be a good game. So
I think so too.
I'm excited for it. All right. Well, that is wrapping up week 6 and the model picks. And that is going to lead us into our last segment, which is going to be new to us and is going to piggyback off the Cowboys. But we're going to introduce something new for all of you that are super active in the community, specifically on TikTok. That's really, really where we have the biggest community and really the most people kind of riding for us. So we're introducing a topic or something we're going to do every week called Rider of the Week. And really what we're wanting to, shout out and, appreciate is people that are just, supporting us, commenting, they're positive, they're, really just trying to be part of the community and really engaged in what it is we do through, coming to lives, going through the, our content and our videos, commenting, listening to things like this. So we're really appreciative to those people. And so what we've decided to do is we're going to do this once a week and we're going to pick a rider of the week. It will be completely subjective. So, hey, the more you ride, the better. But we'll pick it. And basically we're going to let you free ride one pick from the model. So you get to decide that week from the picks that the model's identified, which one you want to identify. So Kreiser, hopefully that's how you pronounce it. He chose to ride with the Dallas pick, and he got it at 6.5. So we just did this today. So he is going to get free ride for 100 to basically win $100. And if we win, he'll get the profits. If we lose, then no big deal off him. And again, it's our attempt to kind of give back to the community and really shout out the people that are really riding for us and with us, and making it a positive community. Anything you guys want to say?
I love the concept. Listen, we really appreciate you all getting riding with us. Not that we're delusional, right? There is fair criticism. Again, we're figuring this thing out, and again, 13-21 with some pretty ugly bad beats. I get the frustration, but we're really looking for people who are kind of really in this for the movement that it is, and so really appreciate all the folks out there, and just want to say thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would very much echo those thoughts, man. Because half of what we're trying to do here is not only, number one, be profitable, but number two, like, have fun and have people enjoy the content that we do, the engagement, all that type of stuff. So to Seth's point, yeah, this is, I think, just one of those things that we're gonna do, and hopefully it reflects not only our, I guess, commitment to the cause, if you will, but yeah, man, we try to be as engaged and as diplomatic sometimes as possible, but like Steve said, sometimes whatever, we get some justified criticism, and other times it's bonkers on the internet. Everyone knows that sometimes, but yeah, just shout out to the support, man. That's really what it's about. So we thank you guys, and can't say, won't say it enough.
Yeah, exactly. So shout out Kreiser, give him a follow. But more than anything, cheer him on. He's got Cowboys this week with us in the model. So we're going to be sweating this one together. And yeah, so just, if this is something you're interested in, keep it up if you're already doing this stuff, and it definitely doesn't go unnoticed. I guess that's the more important part. So this is the end of week 6. You see here, we got 4 picks left. Let us know, like, subscribe, comment if you are fading the model, if you're tailing the model, if you got any things you guys want to see in the future for these breakdowns. But that will be week 6, and we will see you next week. Take care, everybody.
Later.
Deuces.